Hey, we're here for another amazing episode of One Youth Live. I'm super excited for this episode because we have our very first student, Zach Peterson, in the hot seat on Hot Nugs. So you be sure to stay tuned in until that. And then we got our devotional coming up later with Jamie and me. And so stay tuned through the whole thing. You're going to love the show. Thanks for watching and have a great Sunday. Hey, staying connected is hard. But luckily, at One Youth, we make it pretty easy. There's lots of ways for you to stay connected. You can check out our Instagram, our Snapchat, our YouTube channel, or you can just reach out to any of the leaders that you know, and you can stay connected that way. So if you're not following Instagram, go and follow it. If you're not subscribed to our YouTube, go subscribe. If you don't know one of our phone numbers, ask us in person on Wednesday night, or send us an email, and we will be sure to get a hold of you. So, stay connected and have fun.
Hello and welcome to another installment of our new hit show called Hot Nugs. A show where we eat hot nuggets and get hot nuggets of information from our guest. What is a hot nugget? Well, it is a chicken nugget that we dump a whole heap of hot sauce on, and in the midst of eating it, I ask our guests questions and they have to answer with a burning hot mouth. Today, I am super excited about our guest. He is a senior in high school, an athlete that plays baseball. He knows a lot about cameras, movies, and creating digital content, and really knows a lot about just about anything. And he is one of the first students that I got to know really well when I started working here at the church. The one and only Mr. Zach Peterson. Zach, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Pat. Thanks for having me.
Are you nervous? Are you excited? Do you eat hot stuff often?
I don't eat hot stuff often, but I had a small lunch, so I'm actually kind of hungry. So let's get into it.
You're hungry. Okay, so are you nervous about hot sauces? You've seen the gauntlet in front of you. You've seen other episodes. Last week we got all the way up to 135,000. Are you nervous about that?
Well, I'm nervous about the final one, but other than that, I think I'm good.
All right. Well, let's start things off easy with a little Texas Pete. Now, Texas Pete is only 750 Scoville units, so it's super basic, and you get to control how much you put on your nugget. And just as a little relief later, you have some ranch packets over there just in case you need to cool the mouth with a little ranch, so you can feel free to do that. Me personally, for these lighter hot sauces, I like to put a whole heap on. Texas Pete. Perfect. Here we go. Put a few dots on there. So, Zach, let's go ahead and air cheers this because we're sitting socially distanced, and let's dive into Texas Pete. Zach, we know you are into sports. What are your favorite sports teams and why?
Number one, San Diego Padres, obviously. Clinched the playoff berth for the first time. Oh, boy. Clinched playoff for first time since 2006. First time I remember that, so that's pretty cool. Also, Chicago Bears, 2-0, undefeated. And so, it's pretty good for sports.
Okay, yeah. Awesome. Well, let's, what'd you think of that nugget? You got a little cough there at the beginning.
Yeah,
What's going on?
I'm second-guessing this decision to be on the show.
Well, we're in it already. Let's open up the hot sauce number 2. We're going to move right along to Trappies. And this is 1,600 Scoville units, 1,600. So we basically doubled. And I personally like this one. I like almost the most. And like we've talked about before, this is the Louisiana hot sauce that comes out fast. So you got to be a little careful when you put it on. Whoa, it comes out super duper fast.
I learned that the hard way.
Yeah, okay, there you go. Let's put this one down. And Zach, both of your parents work here at the church in big roles. Your mom is in charge of our summer kids games program and also writes curriculum for the kids aged under 6th grade. And your dad is in charge of all things media. Zach, what has it been like growing up in your household where both of your parents are on staff at the church?
Well, I've never known any other church. I've never been to another church service besides either if I'm in Minnesota visiting my cousins. I went to the village once with my grandparents, and I went to Horizon last week. That's it. 3 church services I've ever been besides here.
Wow.
So I've been coming here for all 17 and a half years of my life. I can't think of anything differently, so I don't know. I don't think there would be better, but just because it's all I know. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I couldn't imagine going to a different church.
Fantastic. Awesome. Thanks for sharing a little insight. Not many people have both their parents working in the church. So question number 3, we're going to dive into my favorite hot sauce in the world, the good old sriracha at 2,500 Scoville units. And whenever we get to sriracha, I always put on a ton because I put it on anything. I would even just squirt a little right into my mouth. But we're doing an interview, so I don't want to go too overboard. But as we dive into the sriracha here, Zach, I want to know, you have gone to winter and summer camp basically every year of your life since middle school at a special place called Forest Home. I know that some traditions happen at high school winter camp, and I want you to tell me about a tradition that involves wearing costumes.
Okay, so every meal, obviously OTS we serve, and so every single meal, the high schoolers dress up in costumes, and we have a giant costume box in the closet back there. And so we just all dress up, and the middle schoolers think it's hilarious. And so it's just really fun, and we all have a good time.
What's your favorite costume?
Probably the giant tomato.
That's awesome.
It's a good one.
Well, let's since we don't have any tomatoes in this platter, but we do have something hot, like some tapatio. Tapatio is 3,000 Scoville units, and it's very, very tasty. This is my hot sauce of choice when I eat breakfast, especially when I go out to eat. I don't actually have tapatio at my house, so I never actually have it for breakfast, but it is pretty good.
This is what you put on your eggs?
Sometimes. So a little tapatio. Now my question for you, Zach, is the high school that you attend right now is one of the only high schools in North San Diego County that is actually meeting in person. Tell me a little bit about what it's like to go to high school in person during COVID.
Well, we have to wear a mask 24/7. It's so annoying because my glasses always get fogged up. So that's not the best thing. But honestly, it's just way better than sitting on a Zoom all day. I get to see my friends. We can have lunch. We can have clubs. And it's like actually feels like school just with masks. So overall, it's like I'm very glad I'm here.
Yeah. Awesome. Now, go ahead and grab that mystery bottle. This is the recurring mystery bottle of Skull hot sauce. I don't know what it's called. I don't know the Scoville units, but it's always been a hit on the previous weeks. So go ahead and put a little bit of that on. It comes out kind of quickly. And how is your mouth feeling? Are you feeling the heat yet?
Not as bad. I don't know why, but the first one just kind of took me off guard. Oh, that's
Like,
a lot.
you got to remember last week, it was Morgan was saying that they were she was doing pretty good until near the end. So you got to be careful about what you say.
Okay, I'm just going to drip some of that off. Oh, boy.
Perfect. So question number 5. I know that you have traveled to some pretty cool places around the world for family trips and also for mission trips. What has been your favorite place that you have traveled to and why?
Yeah, probably El Salvador in the January of 2018. We went down there and visited the Shalma Kids Center. And honestly, that was just really good to hang out with every single kid that is sponsored from our church is at that center. And it was just a really good time. We led a VBS, and I had plans to come back, but, COVID, so.
Yeah. Very cool. So do you sponsor a Compassion Child yourself?
Yeah. His name is Carlos. I think he's 11 now, but he was 8 when we started sponsoring him. So he's almost graduated from the center.
Fantastic. Now, Zach, are you ready to really spice things up here?
Well, we have 3 more, and let's get it over with.
Yeah, Zach, go ahead and grab that Mexico Lindo. This one clocks in at 83,200, and we still have 2 to go after this. For those of you who might not have remembered, this is the max that Jamie got to in his run here on Hot Nugs. And so you, by completing this one, have done hotter hot sauces than Jamie. So let's go ahead and dive into this.
My heart is beating very fast right now.
Are you sweating yet?
I'm actually not sweating, surprisingly.
Well,
my heart's beating fast. I'm not nervous. It's just doing that because it's hot sauce.
Yeah. All right, so here's the question. You have grown up going to church your entire life, like you shared before. What is one of your favorite Bible verses and why?
Shoot, all this hot sauce is going to make me forget the reference. It's Romans 9:28. It says, nothing can separate us from God's love. And then Paul lists like all the things that can't separate us. Night nor day, anything above the earth or within the earth. And then also worries about tomorrow or fears about the past. Just kind of, it's just reassuring. And kind of encompasses the entire idea of the gospel. I mean, it's like literally nothing can separate us.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Fantastic. How's your mouth feeling?
That was not that bad.
That was not that bad. Okay, well then let's just go. Let's really ramp it up. Go ahead and pull out that little bottle there. This one's called Da Bomb, Beyond Insanity. And this one's really crazy because it clocks in at 135,600 Scoville units. Now, Zach, please make sure to put just a little amount. You don't need a lot of this Da Bomb hot sauce. Because this thing will pack a punch. They say that you can use 5 little dots of this hot sauce in an entire crock pot of nacho cheese, and it will be way hotter than most people can handle. So I'm going to put a little on here. And while I put the little dot there, oh gosh. Zach, the people at home want to know, you are a baseball player. What is your pre-game ritual before you start playing a good game of baseball?
That's in my nose. Throat. I can do it. One more. Breathe. Breathe. Oh my goodness. Oh. My mouth is on fire. Okay, before games. Usually most games are after school. I hadn't really had a set pre-game ritual. I'm sweating so much right now. Set pre-game ritual. Oh my goodness. I can't have the ranch yet.
You do you. If you need the ranch.
So I was listening to some music before. Sat right after school. So in my last course, we always get out pretty early. So I always listen to. Wow. We always listen to music during school. I know it's not that responsible, but who cares? And then I'm just getting this to get ready. I'm not actually eating it. Oh my goodness. And then I always go to the locker room, hang out for a bit, and then just that's the best ranch dressing I've ever had. It's just I can't think straight. Music. I always wear a long sleeve shirt on game days. I don't know why. I just like it better. Looks better. We do our warm ups. I didn't play that much last year, and then COVID canceled the season. But overall, I think mainly it's mental. So early in the day, just I don't go crazy. I don't think about a lot of stuff. And then once the game start comes, I just focus. Wow, that was a very incoherent answer, but oh no, we have one more.
So, Zach, your mouth is on fire. There's one more hot sauce to go. If you complete this hot sauce, you've gone to where no one else has ever gone on Hot Nugs before. Zach, are you ready for this final hot sauce?
No, but let's do it.
What a team player.
My glasses are fogging up because I'm so sweaty.
Wow.
And I'm sweating so much. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So this hot sauce is called the Zombie Apocalypse, and
I'm doing this. I'm gonna just dip it into the top.
Whatever you need to do, and this one comes in at 500,000, 500,000 Scoville units. Zach.
That's all I'm putting.
And just wait to eat it here. Thank you, Morgan, for passing the hot sauces today. Zach, I'm going to kind of do what you did, too. I'm just going to get a little bit right there, just like that. Not very much. It's almost the same color as the spicy nuggets themselves. So, Zach, you're at the end of the gauntlet. Let's air cheers this, and let's have it together. Here we go.
Oh, I'm
500
so
million
dizzy.
Scoville units.
500,000. I'm so dizzy right now.
Zach, as you let that hot sauce kick in, what is God doing in your life right now that you want everyone at home watching to know? Well, how is God at work in your life today?
Well, he's not letting me die right now. That's pretty great. I'd say, like, letting me be at Santa Fe is the best thing. Just, like, kind of, and, like, letting me focus. I went to the first church that I've been doing 6 months at Horizon, and that was just great, like, great message. It was Phil Wickham, too. And it was just really refreshing to finally go to a service after 6 months, and I can't wait till, like, we can do that here. So he's just, like, finally, I mean, he's always been there, but, like, I'm finally showing back up to him, and that's what's really important.
Awesome. Well, Zach, you made it through the whole run of hot sauces. Thank you so much for being on the show. How, on a scale of 1 to 10, how hot is your mouth?
Probably Guy Fieri level.
I don't know what that means, but thank you so much for being on today's show. And everyone watching at home, we hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you again next week. Bye-bye.
All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome again to another Devo with Patrick and Jamie. We are flipping through Philippians. How far along are we, Pat?
Flipping through Philippians. I like it. We're in chapter 3 today. 1 chapter a week on Sundays.
All right.
But today we are in Philippians chapter 3. And like you were saying, Jamie, we don't do a lot of prep. And I got to tell you, today, right now, is going to be the first time today that I've read through this entire passage. So
Really? All right.
So here we go. I'll read it. We're going to read chapter 3. We're going to start at verse 7, and we're going to go through verse 14. It says
Great.
this.
Let's do it.
But whatever were gains to me, I now consider loss for the sake of Christ. What is more, I consider everything a loss because of the surpassing worth of knowing Christ Jesus my Lord, for whose sake I have lost all things. I consider them garbage that I may gain Christ and be found in him, not having a righteousness of my own that comes from the law, but that which is through faith in Christ, the righteousness that comes from God on the basis of faith. I want to know Christ, yes, to know the power of his resurrection and participation in his sufferings, becoming like him in his death, and so somehow attaining to the resurrection from the dead. Not that I have already obtained all this or have already arrived at my goal, but I press on to take hold of that for which Jesus Christ took hold of me. Brothers and sisters, I do not consider myself yet to have taken hold of it, but one thing I do, forgetting what is behind and forgetting what is behind and straining toward what is ahead. I press on towards the goal to win the prize for which God has called me heavenward in Christ Jesus. The word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God.
Thanks be to God.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. Before this section, Paul talks about all of his kind of like, it's almost like his... I just lost the word. Oh, Paul, before all this, gives like his resume. That would be the right word. He gives all the reasons why he's the best, or why he would be the best in terms of being a good churchy person.
Right.
He's like, I'm the best. I'm the best. In fact, you know, the last line is he just says he's faultless. He's done nothing wrong. He's done everything right. But then he turns it around. He's like, but all that is a loss.
Right.
For the sake of Christ. Whatever were these gains to me, I now consider loss for the sake of Christ. Because if you remember Paul's journey, right, he was persecuting the church. He was going out there trying to kind of weed out all the sin and all the bad stuff in the church. And he came across these Christian people, and these Christian people, he's like, oh, they don't know what they're talking about. They're false. They're not true. We needed to put an end to them. And so he went to help put an end to them. However, as he was on this road to Damascus, he sees a vision. He sees God, and he would actually say that he encountered Jesus personally himself in that moment. He goes blind, and he has this total change. So what his life was, the direction his life was going in, turned around completely.
for someone who knew Christ so well, who was so smart, such a scholar, to even then say, I want to know Christ and know him more and better is that's like a role model verse to me almost. It's like you can never know enough. And if Paul is able to say, hey, I don't know enough, I want to know Christ, then I know for me personally, I really don't know enough. And I got to really strive to understand Christ more.
Yeah. And what's cool with Paul is it's not just I want to know everything about Christ. It's I want to know Christ. Yes, he wants to know the power of his resurrection. He realized that Christ rising from the dead, there is some power going on there that is like crazy. And he wants to know that because he wants to have that. He wants to have the resurrection from the dead. However, he realizes that to do that is also participating in his sufferings. And becoming like him in his death.
He even continues to say it, verse 13, brothers and sisters, I do not consider myself yet to have taken hold of it, but one thing I do, forgetting what is behind and I keep wanting to say striving, but it actually says straining towards what is ahead, continuing to grow. And I think there's some good wisdom there. Forgetting about what is behind, maybe un-Christ-like personality traits that we had, ways that we have been or non-Christ-like, forgetting about that and understanding Christ has forgiven us and looking forward, focusing only on Christ, not focusing on our own personal wealth or worth or trying to make ourselves better, but only looking at what Christ has ahead for us.
And I think there's a good word in all of that, right? Paul has just given us all, before all this passage, Paul has given us all of his resume on how important he was and how godly he was and how much of a big deal he was. And then he said, yeah, that's all rubbish, refuse, sewage compared to Christ working in my life now. And so he's given us, that idea of what was in the past is really no longer. I knew a person who was a tennis player, and they were a really good tennis player, and they ended up getting all these trophies. And they were given this message at an FCA group, which is Fellowship of Christian Athletes. And they said, they were done playing tennis. They now had a family and kids, and that was their real role in life, was to really raise those kids well and to have this family and to do FCA things. Like that's really where their heart was, and that's where God had called them to be. And so they had all these trophies, and they're like, okay, what do I do with them? And so they called like the old club where they played tennis, and they're like, do you guys want these trophies? And the club's like, no, we don't really need them. And then this lady like called her family and was like, do you want any of my old tennis trophies? Because she was a really good tennis player. And they're like, no, not really. We've got pictures. Like, we don't need them. And then she started asking around of places like, can I donate these old trophies to you? Because like she didn't know. And it came to the point where it was like she had to throw them in the trash can.
Whoa.
Like they were something that was like the top, the best, the most important thing in her life. Uh-huh. And very quickly, as soon as her priorities changed, she realized that they weren't even good for recycling. Yeah. Right? It was like, these are just straight trash.
Right.
And I think there's some things in our life that maybe we used to think were trophies, or we used to think were the top of the mark, or the best of the best, or the thing worth fighting for. And then we realize, once we meet Christ and once we know we have a new purpose and we know we have a new mission, that all that stuff is even if we had it, it would be rubbish. It would be trash. It wouldn't really be worth anything to us anymore.
Right. Yeah. And Paul, it does a super good job at teaching the people he's writing to in Philippi by using himself and as kind of an example of what he's trying to do. He doesn't write a letter saying you need to do this, you need to do that. He writes in verse 14, I press on towards the goal to win the prize for which God has called me heavenward in Christ Jesus. He's leveling himself with the people he's writing to. And I think that wrapping up that little section there by saying what he's doing is in this whole little paragraph about what he has already done is really, really important.